Hey y'all, my name is Crystal. Welcome back to the channel. Today is a book chat video. We're going to talk about what I've read in the first half of June. It's already the middle of June, can you believe it? So I've read a few things and we're going to chat about it. So first up, we're going to talk about Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Larocca. And this is a novella that I was just dying to read, and I pre-ordered it and read it, and it was so awesome. I did make a little book chat video about this book. I'll link it below. It's essentially a story of, I don't even know, obsession, dominance. It's good. So I highly recommend it. And you can check out that video if you like a little bit more information about that. And then I read Stand Alone by Paul Michael Anderson. I've got this one here. I got this one in one of my Nightworms boxes. And this is a, slasher sci-fi type of story that has like multiverses and different dimensions and a lot of slasher gore. And I will have a book chat coming up about this one next week. I believe I've got it scheduled for, and I really liked this one as well. So keep an eye out for that little video coming up if you're interested. But it was a lot of fun, so that one was great. I finished up Becoming by Michelle Obama finally, and this was just for my little book club that I have with some friends of mine. This was our pick for the month. And I listened to it on audiobook, which I do recommend because Michelle does, read this herself or narrate it herself. And she does a really good job telling her story. And this starts, as a child, in her childhood growing up, and basically all the way through when they left the White House. And so we just learn all about her life, and then her meeting Barack, them getting together, starting their family, their careers, and it was just really good. She's very insightful and smart and very honest in here about, things they dealt with through the years. And if, like me, you hadn't read this one yet, I definitely recommend it if you're interested at all in learning about Michelle, because I think she's a pretty stellar lady, and I really enjoyed reading about her life and her story. And so, yeah, it was really good. I definitely recommend that. And then I also listened to this one on audiobook. I finished Pachinko by Minjin Lee. And oh, this one is so good. It is a historical fiction story. We start in the early 1900s in Korea, and our main character, they live on an island, I believe, in Korea. But anyway, it doesn't matter. But she has found out that she's been sort of having this little swept off her feet affair with a man, and she learns that she's pregnant. And then this man comes back and says, "Oh, how awesome. That's really great. I'm also married and have another family, but I mean, I would really like to, to be with you also." And she's like, I don't think so. So she's devastated, and she ends up getting a marriage proposal from this man who is, he is a priest, and he is moving to Japan to, start preaching at a church there. I'll get words together sooner or later, good grief. And so she's kind of, it's like, well, maybe I just kind of take this proposal, and because he's a nice guy, and maybe I'll get a nice life out of this, but I have to leave Korea. And during this time period, Koreans and Japanese, Japan at that time was really occupying Korea, and there's a lot of hostility there between Japanese and Korean. And so for Koreans to actually move to Japan during that time period was definitely sort of a leap of faith. And Once you get there, you see the devastating conditions that they live in and the horrible treatment by the Japanese and a lot of Koreans dealt with at the time. And then you kind of move through the time period. We get up to when the World War II is starting. So, you know, we see that kind of coming into play, and we really follow this family story. It really is a family saga, a family drama that starts in the, you know, their roots in Korea, and then how they end up in Japan and how that affects their family. And we go up to, I think, like the 1980s. Yeah, so 1989, I think, is our last chapter time period. So we just follow this family as they go along, and pachinko plays a big role in the story, which is that kind of gambling type game, the pachinko machines. Maybe I'll try to insert a picture of one here. And yeah, it's just so good. It's so beautifully written. I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous writing, wonderful settings. Everything comes alive. The characters are amazing. It's there's some heartbreak in here, so I recommend this book. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a bit chunky, but the audiobook was really, really wonderful, and I recommend it. It's so beautiful. So if you like historical fiction, if you like learning about a different time period, of course, in Asia, particularly between Japanese and Korean, definitely recommend. And this cover is so stunning. Ugh. So definitely recommend that. 5 stars. Beautiful. Loved it. Loved it so much. All right, now for we over at the Brad Proctor's Discord group, his Spinebreakers book club, the choice for June was Tender as the Flesh by Augustina Bazterrica. And this was at a lot of hype. Was it last year? Like, everybody was reading it, and I was like, oh man, do I want to read that? I kind of want to read it, but never got around to it. So this is kind of why I like book clubs, because sometimes you get a chance to read things that have been on your radar. So this book is something. How do I even describe it? So we live in a world where a virus has taken out, has affected all the animals in the world, except humans. But so, I mean, every animals that we consume, from, you know, cows, pigs, chickens, to lions and dogs, and I mean, everybody, all the animals are gone. And instead of just saying, you know what, okay, we won't eat meat anymore, we see this world that sort of goes to some dark places, and people start cannibalizing because they just, I don't know, have this need for flesh. I don't know. And so the governments are like, okay, well, they're doing it anyway, so why don't we just regulate it? And so they make it a thing. And so meat processing plants that used to process out, you know, our pigs and chicken, whatever, now process out human flesh, and humans are bred especially for consumption by other humans. And so as you can imagine, it definitely goes to some dark places. It is very gory at times. So if you just don't like kind of like body horror, gore, this is not the story for you. But we follow our main character, who actually works at one of these meat processing plants, and we see him, and he's kind of struggling with, like, gosh, I don't really want to. He hasn't eaten meat in a while. He has lost a son. I think he was just a couple of years old or so, and since then he just hasn't wanted to eat meat, and his wife has left him, and has, you know, moved in with her parents, and they're just kind of on the rocks. It's just, you know, kind of a tough time for them right now. And then he's like also working at this processing plant. He has a lot of responsibilities there. He's actually like an upper management kind of position. So, and through the ins and outs of working with breeders and everything, he is given a gift of a female, and they don't call him human, but a female human. And at first he's like, dude, I don't want this, because he's uneasy about all of this right now. But so we basically follow his story of what he ends up dealing with, this female that he now has, and I don't want to say much more, because like I said, it gets dark, it gets a little gross. Very descriptive of how humans are processed for consumption. Scenes of like things on platters at parties. So just know that going in. If that's not your thing, you're not gonna like this book. But I thought it was pretty great, actually. I ended up really, really loving this one. I mean, I think there on the surface, there's definitely this sort of commentary about how humans consume flesh in general, maybe a little like how that factory farming works, particularly here in the US. I'm not sure about other countries. And how we treat animals in general. But I mean, it's definitely layered, I think, if you want to dig a little deep, but there's definitely some commentary, I think, about how we as humans view animals in general. I mean, not just the animals that we consume, but in the animals in our greater environment. Yeah, it was good. I ended up on a 5 stars for that one. It gave me some food for thought. Yeah, a lot to chew on. Yeah, I definitely was thinking about this one for a while, so I liked it. Tender as the flesh. Recommend it if you, like myself, haven't gotten to it. So then piles of stuff over here. Then I dove into volumes 1 through 4 of Descender. There's volume 1. I just want to show you these beautiful covers. Can you even? I can't even. Look at that. So this is a sci-fi series by Jeff Lemire, and the artwork is by Dustin Nguyen. The artwork is really what pulls me into this. It's like, let me find something. It is a watercolor style. And oftentimes it's very minimal. And it's just beautiful. You see, it's, this particular scene, it's just a very minimal wash of color here. It's just gorgeous. And anyway, so this world, we have this sort of galactic federation of about 7 or 8 different sort of planet systems and alien races that have come together. And these, let me show you. Well, should I show you? I'll show you. It's right there at the beginning. These things, we have this world, robots are pretty, well developed into the society, and they do a lot of things for all of these people. I say people, but there are all kinds of different alien races. But then all of a sudden these things show up, and they're called harvesters. Can you see that? And they're basically giant robot beings. And they come and just like obliterate a lot of these planets and take out a large number of the population. And soon after, of course, people being people, they're like, okay, all robots must die. So all of the robots and AIs throughout this, galactic world are eliminated. And then we have this little guy who 10 years later comes to life. Now, he has been living on a colony planet what they were doing some mining, and we find that he's the only one left on there, and his name is Tim 21, and he is a companion robot, and he was a companion to a family there. His a mom and another little kid that was about his age, and he kind of hooks into the system to try to figure out what's going on, and that triggers some things for some folks. And now people are like on the lookout for Tim 21. Supposedly his sort of codex, his things that make him up are also found in those harvesters. And so I feel like maybe he is a key for why the harvesters, what are they? will they come back, that kind of thing. And so a lot of different folks are after Tim 21, and that's essentially the gist of the story. There's of course some other things going on, but it's really good. It has a lot of heart. I mean, Tim 21 himself is just really sweet. And then you've got some other really cool characters that we meet along the way, especially Telsa, because she's just really cool with her like really awesome hair. And you see some like the robot resistance, because of course there's still some out there, a la kind of Battlestar Galactica feels to that. And it's just really good. So there's 2 more volumes of The Descender that I would definitely read this month, and then there's volumes that turn into Ascender as well, which I can't wait to dive into. So I really love that. They're so good. All right, next up, I finished out Come Closer by Sarah Gran. Now this one has been on my list for a little while, and we read this together over at Rachel of the Shades of Orange, in her Patreon. We read this month. This was good. I think I'd forgotten what it was about. Like, I heard somebody talk about it, put it on my list, and then kind of didn't really think about it. And this is a demon possession story, and a good demon possession story. We have a woman she's married. She's like an architect. They've got a new apartment that they've remodeled. Everything. I mean, things seem to be going very well, and all of a sudden she's like seeing some things, hearing some things, and lo and behold, yeah, she's possessed by a demon. And this one, we just follow this spiral down into this possession for her. She's trying to figure out what's going on. She starts doing things that are, of course, very uncharacteristic of her, including just being really mean, to violence, to sexual things. Man, it goes to some dark places. And I really loved this one. It is very good if you like a possession story. Definitely recommend this one. It is very good. And the ending for it, I just was like, oh man, the ending was really good. So definitely recommend it. I gave it 4 stars. Very good. Come Closer by Sarah Gran. And then one more, you guys. I finished up The Third Rainbow Girl, The Long Life of a Double Murder in Appalachia by Emma Copley Eisenberg. Now, I got this recommendation from the Read Appalachia Instagram page, which is run by Kendra Winchester, who does the Reading Women podcast, and she has a channel here on YouTube. I'll link all of her stuff below. But she started Read Appalachia pretty recently, a few months ago, I think, and she recommends Appalachian books, and this was one that she had recommended before, and it's kind of interesting to talk about because it's a part nonfiction, true crime type story about these rainbow girls that were murdered, and then it's a part memoir about the author who spent time in West Virginia. This takes place in West Virginia, I should say, and she has spent some time in West Virginia, and sort of her, learning about the area, what she was doing when she was there, that kind of thing. So the Rainbow Girls, I guess there used to be I don't know, do the Rainbow folks still, are they still around? I'm not even really sure, but it was a sort of neo-hippie movement, and they would have these gatherings every year. Again, I'm not even sure if they exist. I need to Google. And this one year they had the Rainbow Gathering in West Virginia, and so a lot of folks came to the area, and we have these 2 girls who ended up murdered during this time period, and their murder went unsolved for a long time. And then someone was finally sort of charged with the murder, was in jail, and then he was deemed innocent, and he was put out of jail. So then their murder is still unsolved. It was a lot of drama around that, because their family just still doesn't really know, or didn't have known for a long time, right? And then, like I said, they've got these in between, sort of learning about this true crime piece of the story. We're learning about Emma and her time there and how she kind of found out about the Rainbow murders, and why it sparked interest to her and why she felt she needed to write about it. And I ended up really liking this. I didn't know going in. I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to hear about this lady's personal life while also talking about these other two girls that got murdered. And it's called the third Rainbow Girl because there was a third girl in their party who ended up not going to the gathering, and so which may, like, I saved her life. But anyway, I ended up really liking the structure of the story, and I thought it was very well written. Again, the true crime piece was very interesting. It was a story I had not heard about, and I tend to like memoirs in general, so I ended up, yeah, I don't know, I just ended up really liking it. The audiobook was very well done. The author read it herself. It's very personal information about herself. And yeah, I don't know, I just really ended up really liking it, kind of more than maybe I thought I would. And so that's the third Rainbow Girl. And if you're interested in that, I give it a go. See how you like the format of the kind of a mixed memoir with true crime story. So, alrighty, I think that's it for what I've read so far. Pretty substantial. I've got a couple things on the go. I am still working through Memories of Ice by Stephen Erickson, book 3. I did not finish it in May. I'm gonna really try to finish it in June. I don't know, I just took a break because I wanted to read a bunch of other stuff, and this just takes forever to get through. But I'm still liking it. It's not that I'm not liking it. I think I just needed to pause for a couple of weeks on it. And I did start the Between by Tananarive Due, and I'm really loving this so far. It is, I mean, Tananarive Due, I think she's just a fantastic writer. Very descriptive and, I don't know, just stellar writer. And I'm loving this so far. And I think that's about it that I've got on the go. So doing pretty good. Still got a lot on my TBR left to go, but you know, got half a month left, so we can do it. Alrighty, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks so much as always for watching and hanging out. I always appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.